you guys kind of already touched on this too, but there's been an increasing concern about misogyny, harmful online content, and gender stereotypes. How are these influencing young people's relationships today?
We see that like all the time now in our work, like social media and the harm and the online harm that it brings for young people is like it's so prevalent. I would say like it's for us that grew up before the explosion of social media, it's quite harrowing seeing just like every single aspect of the child's life now is online, like from a very young age, like from parents like sharing too much of them on social media before they even have the consent. But also like everything for them is like is filmed, is marked, is online, is out there forever. Like we have, for example, young people that come to us, like they've been bullied at school, somebody hit me at school and they're like, do you want to see the video? Somebody was filming it. And they're just like, yeah, now it's everywhere on social media. But it is a lot about the content, the things that they hear and the things that they take as true value. Like I said in our previous presentation, we did like focus groups with boys between the age of 11 to 18. And we're talking to them about like expectations, what did they believe? And they like the boys, like very young boys saying to us like, oh, I know that like girls will only value me if I earn six figures when I grow up. And we were just like, who's telling you that? And you're like, oh, I saw someone on social media, I saw this influence. You won't be surprised that boys mention like Andrew Tate massively, boys from that young age as someone who is a role model or someone who is an example of success in how to treat girls. So it is a rabbit hole for boys. Like we all know social media, that is very clear trends. The boys are pushed into more harmful and more like extreme content as they go online. So that has like a massive trend in how they feel, how the girls are called, names in social media, like what they're saying to each other, and even like but also girls like saying to each other about like the moment is just like calling each other's names and everything being harassed, and the content is just like AIs. Like we deal with a lot of girls who come to us because somebody posted AI photos of them naked and created an account for them on Instagram. And we just have to go to the school and we just have to go to the parents and we have to go to the police, and having that understanding. And some people just say like, well, what is the harm? It's not real photos. Yes, it's my like and the impact they'll have on that girl's mental health and then self-harm. And it's just like, yeah. So I would say it's a pitfall at the moment. There is a lot to be done, a lot to understand about social media, about regulations, about consent. And identifying those pitfalls and being very, very aware of what's happening on online world for your child.
I think just to add, I mean, you said most of what I would have said, but I think just to add that being a child is making mistakes, and I think it is important to remember that I think this was said earlier, we were all children once and we were all teenagers once, and God, I'm glad that my teenage mistakes are not online for people to see. But I think the online world means that everything that a child or teenager does is magnified, but also those views. You know, I had some toxic views as a teenager, but I think it's compounded by algorithms, and it's okay to have those views, and it's okay to sit down with a teenager or a child and say, oh, why are you thinking that way? And where did you learn this? And, you know, what is it about this thing? But I think if you are constantly having these views validated and for those views to be, you know, enhanced into something a little bit more toxic, it becomes a kind of a scarier place to see. And I think if you're a parent or, I mean, I'm an auntie, but if you're not seeing that the child or teenager is having those views, then you can't necessarily have those conversations, because those conversations are happening online and they're happening in siloed spaces. So I think that's where the concern is. You know, I'm not under any illusion that misogyny is only online and that it's only come about, recently. And the thing to do what you were saying, Deborah, about the filming, that happened when I was younger. It's just the camera was blurring. You couldn't really see who was in it. And now obviously technology is a bit different, and you know, cameras are better and all of that stuff. Exactly. So that work is always going to have to be done. You're always going to have those conversations to challenge. But yeah, I think having those sided spaces is where the concern is.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm just thinking about how we can challenge things that we do see or hear, or teachers talk about challenging, you know, misogynistic comments at school towards female teachers, other students, and there's a really useful kind of tool to look at called the sexism pyramid of sexism, and it's kind of all the jokes, the banter, the kind of all those low-level misogynistic things that happen in culture all around us, in WhatsApp groups, in chat, and it's kind of having zero tolerance on those things, I think, so that it doesn't impact on people's relationships, and also acknowledging, you know, this is not only harmful to young women and girls, but also to men being able to be themselves, and also those kind of really patriarchal traditional gender roles really impact on the LGBTQ plus community as well, being able to you know, explore their relationships, and it puts a barrier on them being able to access support because they're not able to talk about their experiences as well. So yeah, it kind of impacts on us all.
Yeah, all those harms to be recognised because of those gender stereotypes or gender kind of social norms. The kind of downplaying of same-sex relationships happens too often because we've got this idea of maleness and femaleness.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have to really fight against that coming back as it is.
Yeah, and I think there's a point as well about recognizing that things can happen quite extremely. And I'm from Brazil. I was just reading on the news like last week about like this school in Brazil that they identified like the class word of boys age 14, that the boys had done a chat on WhatsApp, 14-year-old, where they were rating on 1 to 10, how much would you like to rape your classmate? And they're 14, and it was the whole class of boys. And it was just like, and the school response was, we'll suspend them and we'll just do some conversations. But it's like, how do you as a parent guide that conversation when all the boys in the class were involved in that? Would you say that all the boys learned that at home? No, but where would they learn in that? And where is that like that mentality that one attracts the other? And there was not a single boy who went to talk to a teacher or to a parent or to be able to say no to each other. They just go along, and that is that conversation as well with boys about like, you don't have to go along with this. You can challenge, you can say no, and you can say stop to a friend, and you can raise alarm, but it's just like, you want to belong to the group and you just go along. Yeah.